How's it going? Last time I was in this basement, I was showing you how leaky this rim joist is. I was pointing it out by looking for the telltale sign, which Spiderwebs is the tip off every time. Now, I also ran the blower door test to simulate air leakage, and you could see the spiderwebs streaming as I did. And if you didn't catch that video, you can watch it right here. But today I'm back and I'm gonna show you how to seal the rim joist. I'm gonna show you what that looks like, and then I'm gonna run the blower door test again to make sure that I didn't miss anything. So check it out. All right, so as I said, I wanna get these spider webs all vacuumed up. Most houses I inspect have this detail wrong. I'm gonna show you what it is, and it's why people live with cold floors and musty basements. All right, I'm gonna get ready to start air sealing the rim joist. And a lot of times people ask questions online. They ask me questions when I go to their house about using Foamboard. And I like to air seal directly to the cracks that lead to the outside. And the reason why I like to do that is because once I picture frame air seal everything, I'm going to put my R19 bat. It's breathable. Everything is sealed. You're not going to have a moisture problem because no outside air can get through to interact with the warm, humid air in your house. Now, if you put a piece of foam board up and you seal around the foam board and you don't do it perfectly, guess what? Air from inside can migrate behind. Air can still come in through that crack that you didn't seal. You can get condensation behind the foam board. So that's why I like to air seal directly to the rim joist and then add my bats. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. Let's talk about rim joists for a second. Fact number one, they're structural. The rim joist, it's like a belt around the house, tying all the floor framing together, locking it into place. Second, they're leaky like crazy with plumbing, wires, seams running through. It's one of the biggest hidden sources of drafts in any home. Third thing, most aren't insulated the right way. If you see fiberglass stuffed in there, it's basically useless. Fiberglass slows heat, but it doesn't stop humidity and cold air. 4, they impact comfort more than you realize. Cold floors in the winter, that musty basement smell in the summer, often trace back to the rim joist. Finally, it's a small area with big payoff. Sealing and insulating the rim joist is one of the best bang for your bucks that you can do. Sometimes getting the right angle is a little tough. So you have to work through it, and you want to have something that you can just maintain control of your foam at the tip of your gun. So with this rack in the way, I just have to get a little creative here. Most people think windows are the best upgrade for comfort, but they're expensive and only cover a small portion of the home. Rim joist air sealing, on the other hand, targets one of the biggest hidden leak points in a house at a fraction of the cost. Here's why this matters. Air leaks out through the attic and gets pulled in at the basement. It's a stack effect. The rim joist is where all that outside air first enters. If you seal it here, you stop drafts before they can even start. And when it comes to the material, fiberglass just doesn't cut it. It slows heat, but it doesn't stop air. So the foam expands to seal cracks. It creates both an air barrier, and then when you add the insulation, both can act in tandem to do the job that needs to be done. Now, once all this cures, I'm going to come back and revisit, make sure that everything is sealed up. I'm also going to run the blower door test. I'm going to get a little bit better of a view on what I've done up there once I can. But for now, another thing I'm going to make sure that I do is not forget to picture frame and also seal this gap between the foundation wall and the sill plate. Soon, I'm going to prove how much tighter this house is now by rerunning the blower door test. And then adjacent to this house is another townhouse, but I'm going to make sure that I seal all along this side as well. All right, now I want to reposition the camera so that I can get you another look at one more of these bays here with the dryer vent. So I've got another way that I can get this to mount up here, give you a closer look. If you think that some of these little gaps don't matter, wait until you see the difference the blower door test picks up. So this one's going to be a little easier for me because it's not jammed into that side. So let's see if I can do a little bit better job. One of the things I like to always tell people, and this goes for you too if you decide to do this at your house, none of this stuff has to, and I love it, has to look perfect. It just has to be effective. So it doesn't matter if you miss a spot and then it cures and then you come back and you touch it up a little bit. It might take you a couple goes at it, especially if you don't ever do this, because it's not rocket science or anything. It's just a little bit of muscle memory, a little bit of repetition, and a little practice. One tip, and I don't even sometimes follow it myself, is to try to keep the tip of the gun about an inch. Let's see, I messed up my camera. About an inch away from the crack you want to seal. And you can see when you do, it definitely makes it a lot easier. Now on this dryer vent, I checked it out. I want to go around the perimeter of kind of like the flange there, I guess I'll call it. But I also want to go around the duct as well and just make sure that everything is sealed up really well. And I should be able to get you a look at everything with my head cam. The thing about all this is that even if you do this and then you're going to finish off your basement, then all this gets hidden. And once I put the insulation up, all this foam gets hidden. So again, none of this has to be perfect. It just has to be effective. And you don't want to overdo it where you get it all over the place, but certainly putting a little extra here and there and taking a break every now and then as well is not going to mess anything up, all right? So in other words, here I'm using the foam liberally just so that I can build a little dam there, and so that everything, once it cures, creates a nice tight seal, and then I don't ever have to really worry about this again. So might as well take your time, get it all right this time, and then you don't have to worry. Because once this foam cures, I'm going to show you, it's like hard as a rock. Alright, so I think one of my problems today, and it definitely was not smart of me, is I have my stool here that's just not quite high enough for me to see. I got to step into it a little bit. Okay. And just going to make sure I get up that corner and that corner. Make sure that nothing gets through. Alright, so I'm going to let all that set up and I'm going to move on. But before I do, just want to make sure once again that I've brought a nice little bead here along the sill plate, and you're going to see that once I get going here a little further away from this wall, I'm going to make much nicer beads. And the good thing is I can always come back and clean stuff up if necessary. But here, I gotta get this going and I can't get it to go, and that's because I probably have to clean this mug. Watch closely, because this is where a lot of times people get it wrong when they're using foam. It's really important to make sure that you take a look at the gun if you're finding that the foam isn't coming out the way that you want it to, because normally it's just a quick fix, a couple of scrapes, and you'll be back in business. Okay, I don't want to get sloppy, and I think the reason that was happening is my gun was just dialed back a little bit too much. You can see I'm getting a little bit better of a bead here, and that's what I'm looking for. So sometimes you just have to fiddle with the gun a little and make sure that you're getting the right bead that you want. I put together a video recently with some tips on how to use a spray foam gun, and I'll put a link here if you're interested. Just want to do a nice touch here, just so that, because it is a focal point, but down here in the basement, it is not going to hurt to just have this all sealed up. Now here's something important to keep in mind. Don't rush things. It isn't about being perfect on the first try. Take your time, take breaks if you need to. Don't be afraid to start and stop. The nice thing about foam is that you can always come back and touch up spots later once it cures. What matters is effectiveness, not perfection. Now, one of the things you're also going to notice here is that I've got this 2-foot gun, and I will say that you can have a 1-foot and a 2-foot gun handy. The 2-foot is going to probably be a lot easier, although there are some situations where there's not enough clearance behind for the 2-foot. That's one thing. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, then you got to be mindful of, you've got to position your arm and see where it is in relation to things in your basement. And then that way you can determine what gun. But I figured this one would be a good 2-foot situation because there's plenty of clearance there, except for against the wall. But even then I was able to make it work. And here I just want to make sure I give some rigidity, get some flow. And every once in a while, because I don't do this all the time, my hand does get a little bit numb. So I just do the best that I can and take breaks if needed. When you're sealing a rim joist, one of the easiest tools to use is a can of spray foam like this. It goes on as a liquid and quickly expands to fill the little cracks and gaps where outside air tries to sneak in. Once it cures, it hardens into a solid barrier that stops drafts and helps keep your conditioned air inside where it belongs. The end result is less wasted energy, fewer cold spots in winter, and a home that just feels more comfortable all year round. Not to mention it keeps insects and critters out. Air and bugs take the same pathways. All right, we just finished up here, and that means that not only did I finish air sealing and insulating the rim joist like you saw, but we also air sealed and insulated the attic. I'm gonna go ahead and run the blower door test now, and I'm gonna run downstairs with the camera, and we're gonna check my work. And we'll see the difference between before with all the spider webs moving and after air sealing. So let's get this going. Yo. The blower door was first developed in Minneapolis in the late 70s as a way to measure how leaky homes really were. Before then, nobody had a reliable way to test air tightness. Once researchers started using it, they discovered that houses were leaking their entire volume of air multiple times every hour, which was far worse than anyone expected. That meant homeowners were losing comfort, wasting energy, and living with drafts and poor indoor air quality. We're gonna head down to the basement and we're gonna check my work on the air sealing of the rim joist with the negative pressure. So every little bit of air that gets pulled out by the fan, air's coming in from the outside to replace it. Yes, we sealed the house, but you can't get every crack and crevice, so we're still gonna get an air leakage rate, and I bet there's a few spots that I missed, so let's check it out. So we're like literally live here, and I've got my hand cam, and I've got my light. All right, so let's take a look at the work that I did, particularly in the corner here. See that little spot there that I missed? I knew I felt some air coming through. So I'm gonna zap that real quick. So what I'm gonna do is put my camera down. I got looks like a little bit of air leakage coming somewhere here. Which, it's never going to be perfect, but it's a whole heck of a lot better. But it does look like I missed a few spots. So, let's do this. Let me back this up a little. These little orange lines are what stop cold winter air, humid summer air, and even pests from sneaking in. And let me grab... Ooh. See, I did miss another spot there. I missed a little spot there. Alright, so first things first. I left my gun here on purpose. Alright, so let's see if I zap that up there. Oh, hang on. I gotta clean this a little bit. All right, we're gonna pick this back up. And let's get real tight up there, huh? Ooh, ooh, ooh. Ooh, okay, so that didn't stop the problem. Let me get my stool. Townhouses typically share masonry or frame walls, often called party walls, with neighbors. These walls were intended as fire separations, but not airtight barriers. Gaps at the top and bottom plates, rim joists, and attic areas often leave pathways for air to move between units. I've got news for you. I think I know what the problem is here, and I don't think I can solve it. And the reason I say that is because if we just take a quick peek over here, all right, so I want you to follow that last joist. So you got the floor joist, 1, 2, 3 there at the end. There's more than 3, obviously, but just counting all the way. The one that's right next to the wall there, let's follow it. And then see how it separates? So the true place that we're getting air infiltration is from the spaces that are between the actual joist and the wall. And I think we're splitting hairs here. And the reason I say that is because we did a really good job. I am going to get a few of these spots, but we did get a pretty good result here. So for the last trick here, I just want to show you what this looks like with the blower door running. And I've got a few pieces of toilet paper, and you can see the one in the corner there's got just a little bit of movement. And we'll compare that to the spiderwebs before. And I looked up there, I can't find any holes. There might be some connections just to the neighbor that we can't get to. And then you can see this one is pretty still. This is the one with the dryer vents. That's a penetration. And then this one had a lot of air leakage before. And we barely see any movement now. All in all, like I said, I think it's a good job and done for the day. All in all, job well done. We air sealed the attic. I finished the rim joist here. You can see the toilet paper barely moved. So hopefully this is something that you can do around your house, or at least find somebody to help you with. Go a long way with helping humidity in the summer, or lessen humidity in the summer, and keeping those cold winter drafts out in the winter. Keeping those cold winter drafts out in the winter. And it's a good way to stop pest infiltration as well. If you found this rim joist air sealing example helpful, check out the other videos on my channel. I bring my camera into attics, basements, and crawl spaces to show you what's going on. If a house is standing and it's serving, it's well built. Whether or not it's well insulated, that's a whole different story.